What do you think? How does it look?
It's clean.
What's good? Mike's in the building. Welcome to another video. On today's jump off, we're going to be installing the belly pan on our 2024 Ducati Hypermotard 698 Mono. It's going to look complete with it. I'm super excited. There's a few steps you have to do before you start this installation. If you've been riding the bike, get yourself some WD-40 to clean the bottom of the bike nice and neat, because we're going to cover it up. You don't want to cover all the grins and grit and grime with it. Clean it up first and then get to it. It's fairly straightforward. All the torque specs is going to be included and a detailed instruction on how to do it yourself. Let's get to it. Usually, guys, when you're working on your motorcycle like this, one really good thing I've learned from a good friend of mine, Jojo, is you always maintain and clean the bike as you're working on it. Because what tends to happen, some of these areas you'll never go back to, you'll never really active in it. So when you get an opportunity to actually keep the bike clean, or at least upkeep it, take that opportunity to do so, and it'll make your life a lot easier. Also, you know, we all love and appreciate our bikes, so I think it's very important that we maintain them well. Adding the belly pan to your motorcycle definitely adds another layer for when you're doing oil change. You will have to make sure you pull off the belly pan first. And as I mentioned, it does make the bike a lot neater. When you purchase the belly pan, there's a couple of components that Ducati provide. Let's take a look. They do provide these bumpers, rubber bumpers, to prevent vibration when the engine's vibrating, so it's not banging against the plastic. So they give you these rubber bushings for you to put in between the engine and the belly pan. And one more. And then we also have these bushings here, right here. Those are gonna go in between this section here. And the one good thing that Ducati did with this installation, they made it easy enough where anyone and everyone could actually do this. You don't have to take it to the dealer. They do have a PDF file that you can follow closely. We'll do the last one. Now for a closer look, get a general idea. These are the 6 bumpers that goes to the bottom of the engine in case if it's vibrating. We also have these bushings you put on each side, and then let me show you the rest of the hardware and how it goes. This bracket specific belongs on the left-hand side of the bike to actually mount to the far forward side of the belly pan. Also have these 3 nuts that's gonna be mounted onto the engine casing. 2 on the right-hand side of the bike and 1 on the left-hand side of the bike. I'll show you in detail. And these screws, there's a total of 4 of them, 5mm hex. These are what's gonna be mounted to the actual belly pan to finish the actual look. Ducati does provide a PDF file that shows you exactly all the instructions, so make sure you download that when you're doing it on your own. It even includes all the torque specs, which I'll cover as well. They have these little couplings that they included. You're gonna fit them on the inside of the belly pan. There's a total of 4 of them. They fit nice and snug with the rubber bushing that we put in initially. And then we'll do the other 2. I love doing these installations, guys, because they're very much like doing Legos or doing Lego sets. Very reminiscent of that, and I do enjoy doing these. These washers go with the outer notch that pre-Loctite for the end. So I'm just preemptively placing them here. There are 3 washers that goes in between those bolts and the engine, so heads up. All right, so we're gonna start by dropping those 2 bolts that I mentioned. It does come with washers. Again, I'm putting the washers in. Ducati does not specify for you to do Loctite on this. Just make sure you tighten them down to 36 Newton meters. However, I do feel like it is an engine, it does vibrate. I'm gonna put a smidge of Loctite, so little. Start by hand tightening this. You're not going to start cranking away at it, just hand tighten. Should go in nice and smooth. All right, let's do the other. Again by hand. There we go, nice. These 2 are pretty good. We're gonna take our wrench and we're gonna tighten those slightly and then move on to the torquing, baby. I need a 16 millimeter. Right. Gonna snag our trusted Beta Tool torque wrench. Six. Perfect. Those two are torqued down. Now we move to the next. Now on the left-hand side of the bike, we're gonna do the same thing. A smidge of Loctite. Just wanna make sure that the threading is clean, because every now and then when you're tightening, you could feel a little bit of grit in it. That way you know, like, you should probably tidy that up. Just gonna drop that in. Should go in smooth. You're just threading it with your hand. .36. Perfect. While we're on the left-hand side of the bike, guys, this is the oil filter cover. That needs to be replaced to do this mod, and Ducati does provide a solution. So we're gonna grab ourselves our 8 millimeter, and we're gonna unfasten these two. So we'll start with the lower one. They are not ridiculously tight. Talking about 13 Newton meters. I'd say hand tight almost. If you don't have a torque wrench, just give it the good old tuku. But 13 Newton meters. So I'm gonna do them one at a time. Got a longer barrel here to make life easier with our Beta wrench. There we go. Broke that sucker loose. Top one was a little tight though, that's for sure. I like to handle this one kind of quick. And a good tip I would recommend for pretty much anybody that's working on their own bike that have a potential working area. One way for you to do this in a way that it could be quick without any issue, you want to do a lot of research prior. You're going to take the provided screws, the replacement screws by Ducati. Gonna hand tighten those. Okay. Keep in mind these are not too tight, 13 Newton meters. I usually go one hand. Okay. Now that we've placed everything back on, guys, to be sure, especially if you're doing this in your garage, one thing that I recommend for everybody to do is proof their work. So I usually use a painter's marker so I can check on it later, making sure that I'm looking okay. That way there's markers on there. If anything is moving, I know. You will have the belly pan on. I would say mark it somewhere you could see it. I'm marking mine here. Something here. Everything is marked. I could check them later. I could proof them, make sure everything is staying in place after a couple of rides. Now we're gonna take our bracket, gonna mount it onto the new step-up nut that's holding the filter. I think it's only 10 Newton meters for torque spec. Okay. Now we're gonna torque these guys down to 5 Newton meters. It's not a ridiculous amount, but we like to be accurate here when we're working on our Ducatis. I'm gonna start from the left-hand side of the bike. That seems to be the side that's a little easier to get on with low effort. Perfect. There you go. Left hand side should be done first. Seems to go a little bit easier. Again, hand tight, nothing too crazy. Let's go to the opposite side and check it out. Okay. Okay. And then now we're going to check the torque specs, make sure everything looks good. These are all torqued down to 10 Newton meters, so heads up, nothing crazy. Okay, those are torqued down. Again, this is a home garage thing that we're doing, so we always want to kind of proof what we're doing, or at least mark it. So let's get our painter's tape and mark this down. You can do a small mark at the bottom just so you can, you know. It's your responsibility to validate your own work, so just make sure you know what's up. If not, just get the dealer to do it for you. There you go. Let's clean up, and that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at the bike. Just clean everything up. I think that's pretty good. What do you think? How does it look?
It's clean.